We've been told that practice makes perfect. First you don't succeed, you try and try again. What's wrong with this statement? So you may be working on a new business venture or learning a new skill, or you want to be a better communicator or a leader. You've been trying and trying, but you're still not getting the result that you want. Why is that? So you may be wondering, why aren't I getting any better? I've been working hard, I've been practicing. What's wrong with me? Is this even worth it? Maybe I should just quit. So the real problem is not because you aren't trying or practicing hard enough. I know you are. You can be persistent. You can try and try again, but you still fail. Because that saying is incomplete. There are two things that you must do in order to achieve success. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what are these two things that you need to do to turn your hard work to success. So let's begin. People believe that practice makes perfect, but it doesn't. And I'll show you why. So back in your high school science labs days, there are two kinds of errors that you can make in your experiments. First is random errors and systemic errors. So random errors are natural fluctuations that will cluster around a true value. And systemic errors will give you a completely different result again and again due to fundamental errors. For example, you are measuring the length of this bug with a ruler. So for random errors, each time you measure, you will get a slightly different answer. So in order to achieve an answer closest to the true value, you will take more data. So the first time could be 61.5, then 59.6. It's too fast. So for example, you are measuring the length of this bug with a ruler. For random errors, each time you measure, you will get a slightly different answer. So in order to achieve an answer closest to the true value, you will have to take more data. So the first time could be 61.5, then 59.6, then 60.2. So the average would be around 60.4, which is close to the true value. So the more data you take, the more accurate your answer will be. So let's look at systemic errors. So you didn't start your measurement from zero, so your answer will be always too high. Or you could be reading your answer from a slight angle, which distorts the reading. However many times you conduct the experiment, you will not be close to the true value. Similarly, if you keep making the same mistakes again and again, you will get the wrong results again and again. So you have persistence, but persistence, as you can see, is not good enough. You must investigate what went wrong and how you can improve, and finally, experiment a different approach. Good thing is, systemic errors can be reduced by questioning your approach, asking yourself, am I getting the result that I want? How can I improve? And if it isn't working, experiment something new. And if you're persistently doing the same thing again and again, you won't get the result that you want. Practice doesn't mean perfect. Practice means permanent. So always be asking yourself, what are you practicing? Because you don't want to be practicing the wrong things. You always want to be blending persistence with investigation and experimentation. Okay, so that's enough of science. Let's get back to life. So it's funny how sometimes people say the same thing over and over again without changing the way that they're saying it and expecting the other person to understand. So when you are trying to explain to someone and they don't understand, don't be upset or think that they are dumb. Instead, change the way that you are saying it. Investigate what went wrong, what errors have I made, and how can I improve, and experiment with a different approach. I've always found it funny that some people can say the same thing over and over again without changing the way that they say it and expecting the other person to understand what they're trying to say. So if you're trying to explain something and the other person doesn't understand, don't be upset or don't think that they are dumb. Just change the way you say it. Think about, how can I change the way I say it? How can I say it in a way that they can understand, and experiment with a different approach? So if you want to improve your sales skills, reconstruct and carefully examine what went wrong. Ask yourself, what is the lesson here? And how can I improve the next time? And experiment with a new approach the next time. If you want to be the best at what you do, like all professionals, review your game. Find out what went wrong and improve your next game. So don't review your game and beat yourself up and tell yourself, gosh, I'm such a horrible, terrible, untalented person to walk on the face of this earth. So review your game with the intention to get better. Instead, get excited that you found ways to become even better. So Thomas Edison said, I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So you may say, I want to change, but it's difficult to change. But why is that? It's because what you are doing feels familiar. It is what you are comfortable doing. But the past does not equate to the future. Past experiences may not always apply to new situations. So when it isn't working, what you need to do is look at it from a fresh perspective. So Einstein said that the definition of insanity is to repeat the same mistakes over and over again and expecting a different result. So it's not being about comfortable that counts, it is about doing what works, even if it's uncomfortable. So in order to be objectively critical about your performance, there are 3 core mindsets you need to have. Firstly, don't get emotionally upset, because when you do, you fail to learn the lesson. Instead, learn something from every setback. Take a step back and investigate. Ask yourself, what caused the trouble? How can I improve? When you don't get emotionally caught up, you think objectively and you actually think of solutions. Number 2, quit pointing fingers, quit blaming luck. So there is the old saying, when you point at someone, there are 3 pointing back at you. Go ahead, try it. When you point to yourself, you look for ways to improve. Think, how can you improve and come out of this as a winner? Number 3, you must believe that there is always a way. Think back to a time in your life that was difficult. At that moment, it was a huge struggle in your life, but you managed to come out of it as a victor. So you may be facing a huge challenge right now, but like your other struggles, believe that there is a way, that you will come out of this as a victor and tell your story. So there's that. Understand that persistence alone is not enough. Blend persistence with investigation and experimentation. And it can mean stripping down everything you thought you knew and looking at the situation with a fresh pair of eyes, because the past that got you here won't get you there.